Hello and welcome back to Teaching Transitional Justice with me, Ben.
And me, Rob. In this video, we'll be introducing you to some of the essential literature in the field of transitional justice.
Now, one of the things that's really exciting about transitional justice is that it's still quite a young field. The authors whose works we'll be discussing today aren't people like Socrates or Plato who lived thousands of years ago, if at all. These are all scholars still living, working, and teaching today.
Some of us like reading Socrates and Plato,
Some of us aren't so
and
sure Socrates existed.
and Socrates did exist. Anyways, that's a story for another day. In this video, we will be discussing 6 books that we recommend: Transitional Justice, The Conceptual Foundations of Transitional Justice, The Handbook of Reparations, Unspeakable Truths, Eichmann in Jerusalem, and Transitional Justice, Corporate Accountability, and Socio-Economic Rights.
You'll be happy to hear we will not be covering Allegory of the Cave. Now, these books cover a range of different topics within transitional justice. What they have in common is that they are all widely esteemed and frequently cited as foundational works in the field by scholars and practitioners alike.
We'll give you a brief rundown on each of them, along with some advice for how best to utilize them in your studies. First, we have Transitional Justice by Ruti Teitel, published by Oxford University Press. Now, she is a giant in the field, and this landmark work is a great primer for anybody interested in learning about transitional justice. Titel's prose can be a bit dense, but her ideas are just rich, innovative, and they continue to prove highly influential worldwide.
Yeah, Teitel really is a giant. Teitel looks beyond a concept of justice rooted in punishment in search of novel answers to the question of how the law can be wielded most effectively in response to mass atrocities. Her scope is wide, with individual chapters focusing on rule of law, reparations, and constitutional reform, among other subjects.
As we mentioned, this is the book on transitional justice. For a shorter read, we also recommend her paper, Transitional Justice Genealogy, which is linked in the description below.
Our next recommendation is Conceptual Foundations of Transitional Justice by Colleen Murphy, published by Cambridge University Press. This book contributed enormously to the development of a unified theory of transitional justice. Murphy goes about this in a deliberate, structured manner, taking great care to distinguish transitional justice from other forms of justice, namely retributive, corrective, and distributive justice.
Murphy also outlines the critical role of reconciliation, which is a complex and sometimes controversial aspect of transitional justice that we'll discuss in detail later on in the series. She places special emphasis on transitional justice as a means of societal transformation in the wake of mass atrocities, while carefully considering the unique challenges attendant to post-conflict societies where victims and perpetrators must live amongst each other.
It's also a quick read at just over 200 pages. Now, this next book is a little different and a little longer, but don't be discouraged by the page count. It's absolutely essential reading for anyone interested in the rich topic of reparations.
Pablo de Greiff wrote the Handbook of Reparations as a one-stop shop for everything related to reparations. He includes meticulous detail on reparatory programs from around the world, synthesizes the lessons of the past to support the effective design and implementation of future programs, and even does a case study analysis of national legislation on reparations.
And it's not a book designed to be read front to back. Rather, it serves as a resource to consult as you advance along the path of your studies. And for that reason, it's a great book to have in your collection.
Next on our list is Unspeakable Truths by Priscilla Hayner, published by Routledge.
In this book, Hayner examines decades of truth commissions across many countries and conflicts. It's a defining work on truth commissions, roughly 60 of which are covered inside.
It really is unparalleled in scope. Hayner highlights the diversity and intersectionality of truth commissions, discussing, for example, the ways in which they've incorporated reparations and trauma-informed healing.
Now, this next book was not written on the subject of transitional justice per se, but we think that it's nonetheless of enormous value owing to its vital interrogation of moral, philosophical, and psychological issues relevant to the field.
Eichmann in Jerusalem, written by Hannah Arendt and published by Viking Press. follows the 1961 trial of Adolf Eichmann, one of the chief perpetrators of the Holocaust, in the Israeli Supreme Court. Arendt, reporting on the trial for The New Yorker at the time, analyzed Eichmann's own testimony to develop a concept she termed the banality of evil.
Now, the banality of evil was that Eichmann was an ordinary man, a cog in the machine, animated not by fanaticism or ideology, but simple bureaucratic ladder climbing. Arendt's ideas are controversial and have received praise and criticism alike, but what is undeniable is that her work has started important conversations.
Yeah, and getting at the nature of evil is no easy endeavor. It's bound to lead to disagreement and even controversy. That's good. That dialogue and that discourse should be embraced. Arendt's work is a snapshot of a time period in a field that has since continued to evolve. Transitional justice is full of these evolving debates on complex moral questions, and this is just one of them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's really one of the things that's drawn me to the field. I think it's drawn a lot of people to the field. The ambiguity. It's such a rich area to explore, and this book in particular is a striking work.
Now, along those sort of same lines, this last book we decided to include as an acknowledgement of where the field seems to be moving. There's growing attention being paid to socioeconomic rights and corporate accountability as they relate to transitional justice. And this is one of the early works in that developing area of research. If you want to learn more about this topic, this is the book we recommend. However, we also recommend, as this is a developing aspect of the field, to find even more recent articles in journals, edited volumes, and this and the like for the most up-to-date understanding of where scholarship is on this.
Yeah, there are constantly articles being published in the transitional justice space that feel so revelatory that it's astonishing to consider they weren't published decades prior. This is a really rapidly developing field that's, I think, gaining increasing importance and recognition in the international policy space. You'll find that a lot of these books were published some years ago. The best way to stay engaged with the latest in the transitional justice field is through articles, edited volumes, and other newly published literature. The books here provide you with great foundations. These are some of the classics, and you should use them as a launching pad for farther reading and farther learning.
I couldn't have said it better myself. We hope you enjoyed the video. If any of the books piqued your interest, we have links in our video description where you can purchase them. They may also be available at your local public libraries or if you're a student through your school library.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone for watching the video. Take care.